Alright, good afternoon team. Welcome to another Sunday prep class. I thought today I'd go over a few things with you guys as far as the bear market and what's going on and how to figure out whether you're going to get in or you're going to get out on a stock. So I want to focus on resistance lines and trend resistance. So I'm going to show you a few things so you can know when to get in, if the stock is still going down or the stock is still going up. So here we have QQQ. Okay, if you guys were in the live trading, you saw some of this in the live trading last week. I'm going to go over a few things here with you guys. On Friday, we saw the market just trend down, 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 until QQQ found the bottom right in here. Okay, so how do you know when to get in, when to get out? Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a few things to look at. Okay, so one, what you want to do is if you see a stock headed on the way down, just watch the trend, and this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see that if you draw your trend line here, that at some point the stock just kept going down and then it broke the trend line, right? So if I kept my trend line all the way down here, let me adjust this, you can see that the stock broke out and started to want to go up, but then it continued to go back down. And that's fine. This is another area where I would draw another trend line. Okay, and you would have been able to see here that the stock stayed under, never went above this line, and then eventually it did. So what does that mean for your entries? That means if you saw the stock here and you wanted to get in, you can see it's not passing that line, so you can get in. You got red candles showing that it's selling off, so easy for me to buy a put, and right in here I sell it. Okay, now how do I know the stock is going to go up? How do I know it's going to go down? Well, you're going to have to draw different type of resistance lines. So I'm going to show you, and this is good to do throughout the day when you guys are looking at your stock. Excuse me, let me remove that. All right. So as QQQ was going down, okay, I can see that it tried to go up in here. Okay, so let me just draw you a little circle here, make it easier for you to understand. So right in here it started to go up, but then it met some resistance. And this is where, if you're day trading, draw your line. Okay, so this tells me if it doesn't go past this line, it's probably going to go back down. So it's good for you to continue to learn to draw resistance lines. So for example, as the stock went down, you could easily draw another resistance line in here because it tried to come up and then it went down and it kept going down, and then it tried to come up again here. See the green candles? And then it met some resistance, and finally it hit the bottom here and it started coming up. It met the resistance here again, went down for a little bit, and then it went above that line and then it came back down. Now when it did that, I personally would put a resistance line in here just so I know next time it comes up it's probably going to meet resistance there. So you can see we met resistance there, and you keep your line. So if you decide to get in the stock because you see it going up, remember where it met resistance, so you know if it hits resistance again, you want to get out. Okay, so if you bought a call in here, this is a good area to watch to get in. If it breaks out, then you stay in, but if it gets resistance, you get out. Okay, so I met resistance there, and then it started going down. Okay, and all of a sudden it started turning. Now the important part here is, let me show you, that you have a new line. So it went down, and then now you have a support line. So I'm going to change that line to yellow just for this exercise. But you see that it didn't go past that line, so that tells you that it's going to bounce up or down, and it decided to go up. Now I started going up again, and you remember your original resistance line, boom, one time here, boom again here, but this time it actually broke out. And not only did it beat that resistance, it beat the next resistance line, and then it kind of stopped here, okay? But it did bounce off of this area, so I would put another resistance line there, or support. And then now you see that it started going up again, and this time it actually got past the resistance line. Okay, so this is important for you to understand what's going on with the stock. Is draw some lines so you understand where it might stop. Okay, so you had one here, you had two, and then this was three, but it actually beat it. So this one was a win because it did go up. Okay, now as the stock went down, it did bounce in a few areas here. Okay, you had one bounce there, came up, met resistance, went down, it bounced there, went across, came back down, it bounced there, went down, and then finally it found some support there. Okay, now why are these important? Because what I like to look at is these are lower lows, right? So that tells me the stock is headed down to lower prices. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 that I've identified here that are lower lows. And at some point I know that, and I'm going to change the color of the next horizontal line. I want to show you. At some point I know that we have to get past this line, right? So we have this line kind of drawn here, and it went past it. So once it gets past that line, let me do this instead. So I know this is the previous low, and for me to really consider this in an uptrend, we have to get past this area, which it did, and it went up, but it met resistance, which was this previous low, right? You see how it matches? So the areas match. It went down, okay, it went back up again, same area as here, okay, and then finally we went past this whole area, and now we want to pass this area, this yellow line, which we did. And so now I know that I can enter into a call with some confidence. Okay, now these areas here, you can actually buy a call and get out on the way up, even though you got some resistance. But if you're new to trading, I would watch more than entering or practice on paper trading. But here are the things that you need to really focus on, because the market is considered officially a bear market now. Okay, now this is Friday. Okay, so it's easy for us to see that we were definitely in a downtrend, right? So we opened up here, and at some point, if it's me, I'll draw a trend line, and then I'll say to myself, okay, and you can draw it as far as you want. I would have done this if I was playing QQQ, and then I would see market opened up in here, but then we met some resistance there. So meaning it did not go past that point. So here's another way to play it too. It started here, went down, came up. I would draw a nice little resistance line there going across, so I know this is where it met resistance. And again, same thing here, right? And then we got more resistance there. Then we got another one here. And you can just do this, so on and so on, right? You can see how it comes up and then it stops there. Now, the previous line, the white line that I drew, it's a good one to have just for you to practice and say, okay, I'm going to get into the trade. It bounced off of there. I'm drawing my line down after I see a second resistance. Now you can draw a trend line all the way down as far as you want. Now, I would leave it alone here, let it go down. You see it went up, went down, and then it came in this area and it hit the line, okay? I would enter into a put here because we're bouncing off of it again. Even though we went past here, my stop loss, I would have put it up here. This is a false breakout. This is what it's going to, if you ever hear the term false breakout, this is what they call a false breakout because it didn't get out. Now it went down, kept going down, and then eventually came up, came across, bounced off that line again, and then went down again, kept going, and finally it broke out. So if you got into the trade anywhere up here in these areas, you would have made some money with confidence, even though it went past that line. Even if you held for a little bit and then you decide to get out, you would have still made a nice profit. But it helps drawing your resistance lines, okay? Now, it's easy to do it after the fact. The market is closed, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to replay this since the beginning, and I'm going to show you how I would have drawn the line, okay? So let me, I'll put the speed up a little bit here, and then we'll start playing. And you can see in the upper right hand corner how this is playing out. Now, I'm going to pause it so I can get rid of my original line, and then I'm going to play it again. And we can watch. So we started here, came down, and then I had some resistance here, came down and got some resistance there. So at this point, I see two resistance areas, okay? And I'm going to show you what I mean. So we started up here, but then we had resistance there, okay? Let me give you a better red. All right. And then we have resistance there. Okay. So let's pretend the market is still going and we just noticed this. Okay. So what I do, and this is what I'm talking about, you can start your resistance line now, even though the market just started, and you can just say, okay, I'm going to place it here. We had resistance there. As long as you're touching and not going under these wicks on the candles, you can draw it as far as you want and just watch your stock, okay? And this is with any stock. And then I'm going to play the stock again or replay it, and you can see that you can have your trend line as early as 2 resistance points. So that's what I have there. So I have the first dot and the second dot. Those are my 2 resistance lines that you can see. The part where I said we had a false breakout, that was it right there. And then you see that there was more rejection in the stock, and it just kept going down and down and down, okay? Now, let's say the stock would have went up past that line and you're already in the trade. Hopefully you have a stop loss, or if you're day trading, just get out. Even if you have a very small profit, you know, making $10 on a trade is better than losing 100. Okay, I'll tell you that right now, because I get a lot of messages on when do I get out. Get out when you have a 5% profit, If it's not at 5% and the trade starts going a different way, I would get out, okay? The reason I always say get out is because you're going to have another chance. Don't think that it's the last trade and try to stay in, and then you lose more money and more money, okay? So anyways, I thought I'd share this with you guys and let you know, since we're officially going to be in a bear market, according to lots of analysts and lots of people that have been in the market longer than us. This is what I would say is a best practice for buying puts, and then you can do the same thing for buying calls. As you can see right now that we're in an uptrend, right? So I'm going to stop the video. So let's say I didn't buy any puts, but then I see that now this wants to go up. So again, I'm going to see that we started going up. Then we had support there. We had support there. Oh, let me come back. Let me give you guys a better dot. All right, so we had support there. I'm going to change this color to green since it's going up. We had some support there, and this is where I would say, okay, it's been going down all day. I don't trust that it's going up, so let's do a trend line, okay? So here's where I would do my trend line. You can start it here, okay? Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to start it at the first dot instead. And I look at my 3 dots, and then I'll do my trend line as far as I want. And you can see the times here. It's, you know, closing times here. So I'll just do it all the way to around closing time, right? And then I'll just watch the stock. And again, if I see the stock bounce off of this line, here it ended up going down, right? So good thing that, you know, I did my trend line and I said I'm going to give it a few minutes. Since it's been going down, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to jump into it yet. And you can see that there was a little bit of rejection. So I'm going to stop the video here. And one of the things that you could have done as well here is you see it go past the line. And again, I have resistance there, okay? So then I would do another dot here. And after my second dot, I know, you know what? Let me do a little resistance line. And then I would have seen that it started breaking out again. And of course, once I see that we had support there, okay? I would do this green. And then we had another one here. And again, I would draw my line starting from my first dot. And again, I'm going to draw it all the way up. My original one, I'll get it out of the way just so it's not looking messy for me. And now if you watch the stock, again, it breaks your support line, right? And so again here, if I'm day trading, I would do my dots again. And then I would draw myself a resistance line. And you can see that at some point it broke out. I'll get rid of that resistance line. And then now, okay, I see we're headed up towards the original support line. And so again, I'll draw my dots. And I'll say, okay, I think we're headed up. Let me draw my support line. And if I see it continue to go up, okay, then if it bounces off of this line again, I will jump in. Now, another thing to remember is what we went through earlier, okay, is the original resistance that it had. Now, one way to get in, like I said, would be if I see it bounce off the line again and it's going up, I'll jump into the trade. If not, look at this. This was an area of resistance and it passed it, okay? So this is where it hit before. If you can see from our original resistance that we went over earlier, it broke it. So I would feel very comfortable buying a call here. Okay, and I'm going to let it keep playing and see what happens. So this is an area where I would say, okay, I got in, I see it trying to come back down, I'm out. I'll take my 5%. Now, if I'm an experienced trader, of course I'll wait a little bit longer, but there's nothing wrong with 5%. So these are ways for you to figure out when to get in, when to get out, when not to get in. Okay, that's the most important part, and when to watch. And always remember, if you don't get in, you'll have another chance, but be very careful when you're playing, especially in a bear market, because it could eat up your options if you're playing options. Now, I wouldn't suggest you buy any common shares yet because the market hasn't reached the bottom, but I thought I'd go over resistance today so you know how to play your in and your outs. So hopefully this helps, and I'm wishing you guys a very green week, and I hope you're having an amazing weekend like I am. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments, and I will definitely answer it.